Hey yo, and what's up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight. You know, I can't help but laugh because we're talking about Ronda Rousey. This is the girl that's flipping Triple H with the greatest of ease. She's taking out police officers left and right, but she can't wipe the floor with the Bella Twins. My name is Nick Nightmare. I will be your villain for the evening because it's time to bring the hammer down on WWE's historic evolution. And we're gonna do that right now on the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. Let's do it.
The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
Alright, wrestling fans, thank you once again for joining me. You know, in all fairness, to some of you guys I'm going to be the villain, to some of you guys I'm going to be a hero, and like a true bad guy, that's the way it should be, because you know what we watched tonight. You know that the WWE put minimal effort into this pay-per-view. It was not as bad as we all most likely expected it to be. And, in all fairness, before we get started with all the fun we like to have bringing the hammer down on everything, I want to give props to all the girls that went out there tonight. Whether you love them, whether you hate them, whether you hated this card, whether you see Evolution as the bullshit pay-per-view that the WWE barely gave a shit about to throw together just as a thank you note to the women for not raising a stink about the Saudi Arabia situation, you have to give credit where credit is due. And, Evolution, could it have been bigger? Could it have been better? Absolutely. But I have to give my respects to everybody that went out there and tried their little hearts out. Some more than others, obviously. That main event tonight was an absolute sham. That was bullshit. It's a match like that main event. It's what makes me want to bring the hammer down on this show, because it's absolute bullshit. I told you guys in the preview show, and leading up to this, if this matchup was anything short than a 2 to 3 minute evisceration of Nikki Bella with the greatest of ease by Ronda Rousey, then it is absolute bullshit. And that's what we got. What did I say at the top of this show? Ronda Rousey's throwing Kurt Angle around. She could throw Triple H around. She's breaking arms. She's tossing everybody around with the greatest of ease. She's a UFC Hall of Famer. She's a former heavyweight champion of the world. And two divas that can barely wrestle their way out of a headlock took Ronda Rousey to her limit. I don't give a shit. You could have pretty much booked this match as Ronda Rousey versus the Ring Post. The Ring Post seen more action tonight than Nikki Bella did. Nikki Bella wanted to spend the first half of this match nursing a headlock or a chokehold because there was just nothing else that she could possibly do. It brought this match to a grinding halt. It was an absolute snore. They tried their best to make it exciting, but once this match went past the 3-minute mark and Ronda Rousey was now on the defensive, this match was a failure. And then to have nothing special happen at the end except to cut to the back to see Nia Jax. We'll get to that in a minute, because that was the biggest debacle of the night, that fucking Battle Royal, which absolutely just pissed me off. We're going to get to that in a minute. But why didn't you have something better planned for the end of the show? If that was the way you were going to go off the air, with Ronda Rousey not knowing where to go, because she's barely been in the company, 9 months now, maybe? She doesn't even know her cues. She doesn't know what to do after a match. She doesn't know she has to stay in the ring and celebrate. She's walking out, she's walking up the ramp, somebody's like, yo, go back in the ring, and she's like, oh, I gotta go back in there? And then she goes back in, and she don't know what to do. She seems embarrassed, she seems uncomfortable, and then she looks to the outside and says, can I leave now? Did anybody else catch any of that at the end of this thing? I know you all heard her giving her shout out to Roman Reigns, which I have no problem with. I just hope that it wasn't a generic thing given to her to do by the WWE, and that it was actually genuine and came from her heart, because I wouldn't put it past the WWE to do something like that. It was just a bullshit main event. It really, really was. And if you flip-flop it, since there was nothing special about it, and you put the SmackDown title on the show last, I think it would have made a better feel for the end of the show. The crowd would have went home a lot happier. Nobody really seemed to give a shit. They were probably just happy that the show was over and that they could start heading home. Because the match of the night has to go to the SmackDown Live Women's Championship. And I have to eat my words a little bit because I didn't expect much out of these two girls. And I blame the WWE creator for that. They just made this whole entire matchup so unappealing because of the way that they're trying to weave this story. But I think the story's starting to just fall by the wayside. Because whether or not you want to add booze into the promotional package for Becky Lynch in spots where there clearly were no booze, because we were here, we seen it, we watched it on Raw, we know what we heard, we're not idiots, even though the WWE likes to treat us like that. You could do all you want. You cannot negate the actual reaction of the live crowd, who was firmly behind the heel Becky Lynch. But it didn't really matter, because this was a great match. It had its moments, and we're going to try not to talk about how terrible Charlotte is at that fucking moonsault, and how we just want her to stop doing it altogether. When Charlotte Flair and a table are in the ring, it's never a good time. You could just ask Sasha Banks in the Hell in a Cell match about that. For some reason, this woman has a bad luck with using tables in her matchups. That moonsault was ugly and tougher than a $2 steak to take for Becky Lynch. It was just terrible. The table fell over. It was just so uncoordinated, and it's just a move she should remove from her repertoire. She does not need it. She's over 6 feet tall. She don't have to be flying through the air. She has a moveset that will be just fine without it. So, you know, the few botches we had here and there, and the little bit of overbooking that was involved in this match, we're going to throw that to the side, because when all was said and done, the WWE did what it needed to do, and they told a great story, and that story was Becky Lynch, no matter how you view her, is going to do whatever she has to do to keep that title around her waist. Boo her if you want, cheer her if you want. She don't give a shit how you feel. All she gives a shit about is that SmackDown Live Women's Championship. And I can get on board with that. I'm not going to sit here and argue, oh, she's good or she's bad anymore. It doesn't make a difference. The fact that she won this matchup, which I was not expecting, and I totally predicted incorrectly, because I expected them to go back to Charlotte for some strange reason. We hopefully are going to take steps away from this now. Maybe we start to see Becky wrestling as the champion against other women. Maybe we see her feuding against a Naomi or an Asuka. But we all know how WWE feels about Asuka. That's something else we're going to talk about in a minute as well. But that's the biggest thing coming out of that matchup that I can hope for moving forward, is that the Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch thing is done for now. Let's just move away from it and move on. It was a great match. It was a great conclusion to this story. For now, you want to pick it back up as we're hitting the Royal Rumble time and into WrestleMania and revisit it then. After what they did for us at this pay-per-view, I would be willing to see them again, but I think it's just time for a break. Let's let Becky get some wins under her belt, make her a credible champion, make her one of the next biggest stars in the women's division, so the next time she clashes with Charlotte Flair, it'll be even bigger. Or if you want to move her to somebody else down the line, maybe somebody coming up from NXT, maybe Kairi Sane versus Becky Lynch would be very interesting down the line, but I don't know what the future is going to hold. If I did, I'd be winning the lottery next week, and I would have had the $1 billion Powerball last week. So I don't know the future. I can only hope for the best. And this was one of the best matches, if not the best match of the night. They really, really gave their all out there. They were just laying into each other. Some of the spots from that double leg drop off of the ladder by Becky Lynch through Charlotte Flair, showing Charlotte Flair how to actually break a table, exploding through the announce table. Charlotte looked like she was messed up towards the end of this match, and I just thought everything was a beautiful symphony of chaos for these women. By the time this match got to its conclusion, 29 minutes long, man. That was an epic confrontation. That type of a matchup is what this pay-per-view was all about. And I have to give them a round of applause, because that was my favorite match on the night. High drama, very, very intense, and the right person won. You have to accept that, and you have to take that as a win, which we are going to do. Another matchup on this night, that we have to bring the hammer down on is absolutely this Battle Royal. Let's talk about this piece of shit Battle Royal. Now, I'm going to be hard on this Battle Royal only because the WWE dropped the ball so heavy on it. They really had the opportunity with this Battle Royal to show the evolution of women's wrestling in one match. You could have your divas come out. You can have your legends. They can all do their spots. You can have your dance-off. You can have your Nia Jax, Tamina segments. You could do all these things, which were pretty entertaining. But if the match ended, if the Battle Royal ended the way it seemed as it was going to end, which would have been a classic confrontation between Asuka and Ember Moon to finish this Battle Royal off, it would have been fantastic. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, from the start of the match through the end, you would have seen women's wrestling. You would have had your fun segments. You would have had Ivory dancing with Carmella. You would have had Alundra Blaze doing her thing. You had the Snuka and Nia Jax thing. And it just progresses and progresses until all we're left with is the real evolution of women's wrestling. Asuka versus Ember Moon. Did you hear the crowd? I know you heard the crowd. Unless you're fucking deaf or you had your TV on mute, you heard the crowd. The chants of NXT reigned supreme as these girls went at it towards the end of this Battle Royal, which was the best moment in the whole entire Battle Royal. The whole crowd was into it. Everybody at home, we were into it. And I thought for sure that's where this was going to end. But what do we see? Asuka! The first of the final four eliminated. The fact that Asuka was eliminated before Tamina Snuka is an absolute travesty. Unacceptable, unforgivable. Not only was Asuka my pick to win this whole thing because she needs to be relaunched and set back to the top of the division, which obviously isn't going to happen now, but now you have Tamina Snuka going over her. She's more powerful than an Asuka. She lasted longer than Asuka. Ember Moon, I can give you that. But then Nia Jax. Nia Jax ends up winning this thing, making it all what it was to begin with, just a political, promotional, let's put everybody in here because we're lazy and we don't know what to do and we don't know how to create anything interesting at all. For the most part, the Battle Royal was a botchel royal. Lots of missed spots, lots of missed kicks that were sold as if they were landed. Lots of girls going to the outside to take a break. While we're talking about that, we had Zelina Vega doing the obligatory, I'm going to lay outside until somebody thinks they won this thing, but jumped the gun and decided to come back in this thing when Ember Moon and Nia Jax were the final two. They were entangled in the ropes, but she failed to dump them to the outside. She prematurely celebrated and then got unceremoniously dismissed from the matchup by Nia Jax, who gorilla pressed her up over her head, carried her around the ring a little bit. I didn't know where she was going to throw her since there weren't really any women left on the outside. And then she launches her into the face of Tamina Snuka. I'm almost positive that we witnessed Nia Jax break Tamina Snuka's nose with the body of Zelina Vega tonight. But that's just what I think I saw. And I don't remember seeing Tamina at the end in the big hug to celebrate the end of this thing. So I don't know if that's a real deal or not. But, you know, we didn't get anything interesting. And all this shows us is that Vince McMahon is the one calling the shots. You think if for 1 minute, if Triple H was booking that Battle Royal, it would have ended with Nia Jax's hand being raised? No, that was Vince's call. Then you have her do her little, I'm so emotional and I'm so happy. I'm 6 foot something and I'm a beast woman and I'm supposed to be scary, but I'm crying because I'm so happy and we're going to break the wall and show that I'm a woman comfortable in my emotions and we're going to talk about how much this means to my family. Is that why you did this? Did you did this so that you can tell The Rock, hey, look, we let Nia Jax win that Battle Royal. Why don't you come play with us at WrestleMania? Is that the reason? What reason was Nia Jax given this Battle Royal? I don't know. And by doing so, you made the whole Battle Royal worth absolutely nothing. Now Nia Jax is going to be next in line to fight Ronda Rousey. Will it be interesting? I don't know. Is Nia Jax a babyface or a heel? She's the women's division's big show. She flip-flops from week to week. One week she's mean and vicious and doing this, and then the next week she's best friends with Ember Moon, and then the next week she's throwing people over the top rope. She turned twice in this one battle royal. She teamed up with Tamina Snuka, looked like something interesting was going to happen, and then she turned on Tamina Snuka before a couple of minutes were over. I actually think Tamina Snuka and Nia Jax coming off of the back of this battle royal should be a thing. I have said it before. Embrace the family lineage, and something special could be made of that. They did their little ooh-ah tribute to Roman in the middle of the match, and I think that could have solidified them as a decent team. That's something to be scared of. You put Nia Jax on the bad side of the tracks, which is a much better place for her to be because she's just nauseating as this, everybody please love me. I don't want to see that shit. I want to see her tearing heads, breaking broads in half. That should be Nia Jax. Cracking coconuts over skulls. Give me my cousin Tamina. We're blood. We're family. We're going to take over this whole division. I would like that. And the flavor of that was sprinkled into this battle royal proves I think there was something there. Even the crowd in Long Island reacted. They were like, wow, this is kind of cool and different. And then they were about to clear the field. Until nonsense happened. So that was that. All right, and then there was that battle royal. And thank God it's over. And I hope it doesn't become like a yearly tradition. If they do this Evolution thing yearly, don't make the battle royal a yearly thing. Leave that for the Royal Rumble. Make this the first time you ever did something like this. And then really figure out your card and give us something a little bit more special than this. Nia Jax promotional piece. With a few interesting things sprinkled within. The 6-woman tag team matchup is nothing that we have not already seen. It was just a little bit longer and there were no commercials. That match was a botch fest. Oh, it was great. It was so entertaining. Yeah, fine. If you like watching Sasha Banks almost get decapitated 100 times. If you like watching ugly-looking 5-star frog splashes. If you like seeing the same shit over and over and over again, then I guess this match was your thing. It doesn't matter whether it was Natalya this week or Ronda Rousey next week or anybody you could insert, wrestler A, wrestler B. It doesn't make a difference. It's the same match. We didn't really see anything different other than the fact that the Riot Squad wanted to cosplay in the worst fucking cosplay costumes for horror people that I have ever seen. Apparently Ruby Riott was Jigsaw. I couldn't tell you that. She looked like a fucking dumbwaiter, some bellhop from the Marriott down the street in Manhattan. And Leatherface, the Viking, Sarah Logan's coming out as Leatherface without a mask on. What? And the other one, Pennywise the Clown. The only thing that was clownish about her outfit was her face, which was not done up in clown makeup at all. It's just that Liv Morgan is a clown altogether. Are you kidding me? I could care less about this matchup. This match was complete crap. Did absolutely nothing. It's disrespectful to both Sasha Banks and Bayley. It's disrespectful to Natalya and to Ruby Riott. Hell, I'll even give it to the other two. Sarah Logan and the Smurf blower Liv Morgan. They deserved better than this. The same thing we have been seeing since the fucking summer. Over and over again. So what was so evolutionary about this matchup? Nothing. It was a sloppy, sloppy botch fest. Just like Nikki Bella and Ronda Rousey. The other tag team matchup, Trish Stratus, or the woman who's pretending to be Trish Stratus, Mrs. McNugget Face, and Lita, showing up tonight to take on Mickie James and Alicia Fox. The balls on Michael Cole to say that Alicia Fox is a pioneer. The only thing she pioneered is how to botch in the ring. She's the first woman, the longest tenured woman, to bring the most botches of the night. Alicia Fox should have been nowhere near this match. She should have been put in that battle royal and eliminated very, very early. This matchup starts off with Alexa Bliss coming out saying that in the first place. Oh, my team is Mickie James. Mickie James, I'll give you. She's a little bit of a trailblazer. She paved the way for psychotic females, and she did that whole angle with Trish Stratus, which makes sense for her to be here. Alicia Fox, a pioneer? What? No. All kidding aside. That's a fucking joke, right? Were you trying to make me throw up? Because you almost did. Absolutely ridiculous. I didn't really care too much about this match, but I will say that this was much better than I thought it was. And it has nothing to do with Alicia Fox. I just got to give credit to Trish's doppelganger for really brushing up on her wrestling. She looked like she hasn't missed a beat. Little rusty. Couple of pretty key botches. Some miscommunications and some clear vocal exchanges there. You can hear that they were trying to call spots and do things like that. But we're going to be a little bit forgiving. They were the opening match of the night. And the one fishiest thing about this, besides the huge botch by Alicia Fox to miss the 3 count at the end of this thing, she was supposed to break up a 3 count, missed by a mile, was nowhere near where she needed to be, absolutely missed her cue, and the referee did not count 3 while the shoulders were clearly still down for a 3 count. The crowd jumped all over it, and it was the biggest botch of the match before everything would be ended. But Alexa Bliss getting involved in this matchup smells a little fishy to me, only because she was being kept out because of concussion-related things. And as far as I know, protocol in the WWE means you ain't getting in that ring to do a goddamn thing if you're concussed or you're recovering from a concussion. You got to stay outside the ring and you have to stay out of the action. So if she was involved in this in any way, or she was cleared earlier this afternoon, why was she not added to the match? And if she is legitimately injured, that should not have been allowed. I'm just throwing it out there. Seems a little weird to me. Little outside of the norm when things like that occur. So we have to call them out on it. Is Alexa Bliss really injured, or do they just know that she's not going to perform up to the level of a Trish Stratus or Alita? But to that matter, how could they think Alicia Fox was the adequate replacement? You had, 20, 25 women in the Battle Royal you could have chose that could have been infinitely better. I'd even give you Nia Jax as a partner, would have been even better. Absolutely crazy. This show took on a whole new life when we were graced with the Mae Young Classic finals. However, I felt this match was a little bit too short. I know they went, I think, almost 10 minutes. But 10 minutes on a show like this, I don't think that's good enough. I think these girls were really just getting going. I was surprised that the Long Island crowd did not really react to Io Shirai. There was no real big pop for her. They seem to be familiar with Toni Storm, probably through NXT, but they're probably not big fans of the Mae Young Classic. Not everybody's nuts about it like all of us are. But, I mean, I don't know how they couldn't have gotten a little bit more into this match. This match, I think, suffered a little bit from the crowd not really caring too much about both of these girls. But that aside, this was a very, very good match. It was very intense, very back and forth. Towards the end, I couldn't even call this thing. I just thought it got wrapped up a little bit too quickly. This couple of key moments that I wrote down that I got to call out for Io Shirai did this tremendous springboard, top rope, hesitation drop kick to Toni Storm, sending her tumbling to the outside, and then followed it up with a beautiful moonsault from the top rope to the outside of the ring. Looked absolutely fantastic. Super, super vicious. This girl was on her game. Both of these girls were just great in this matchup. Definitely lived up to the hype and lived up to the standards of what the Mae Young Classic is, but I think it should have been given maybe another 4 or 5 minutes just to add a little bit extra drama. A couple more false finishes really would have put it up over the edge, but, we had 30 minutes for Becky and Charlotte, and then we had to have 20 minutes for Nikki Bella and Ronda Rousey almost, and that's just unforgivable. They could have easily taken 5 minutes off that last match, put it on this match, and it would have done wonders for the match, making it even better than it was. Definitely, at the very least, a 4-star match between these two. But of course, when the thing is all said and done, we had Io Shirai go for her moonsault, right? But Toni Storm gets the advantage and ends up getting her off of the top rope and executing the Storm Zero for the second time in that matchup to win the Mae Young Classic. And then, of course, we got to have Stephanie McMahon coming out, sticking her beak in where it don't really belong. And then Triple H is out there being proud papa, giving her the trophy. It was a very awkward kind of ceremony. It's almost as if Toni Storm didn't know she was going to win the Mae Young Classic. She seemed very surprised. She didn't know how to hold the trophy. She had the flowers in her hands. Triple H is trying to give it to her. It seemed a little bit awkward. Stephanie McMahon's giving her like a super long hug because she doesn't want to let go of the spotlight. Right then, as soon as they finally let go, she's still like trying to cling on and hold her hand. Like, oh, you're so special and I made you special. I made this for you. This had nothing to do with the Mae Young Classic. Stephanie McMahon has nothing to do with the Mae Young Classic. She shouldn't have been there for the presentation, and I don't care. I don't even remember whether she was there for it last year or not. Whether she was or not, it's still last year, this year. She's got nothing to do with it. This is her husband's thing. Keep your disgusting, politically driven hands off of my Mae Young Classic. And hopefully they don't coincide this and do this again next year. Let the Mae Young Classic be its own thing. But I did enjoy this matchup. I am very, very impressed with Io Shirai. I hope to see big things from her. I'm pretty sure they said she was signed. She's going to be in NXT. We got NXT UK getting Toni Storm. They will receive the Mae Young Classic winner for 2018, so the women's division in the UK is looking very, very bright. The NXT Women's Championship, my second favorite match. It was my favorite matchup of the night until we had Charlotte Flair versus Becky Lynch. I can't believe I'm even saying that. But that's a fact, and I don't lie to you guys. It's the hammer of truth. If nothing else, I bring to you guys the truth. And this was my second favorite match. These two women did what they do best and did NXT proud, going out there, leaving it all out on the line in a fantastic and physical and brutal encounter. Shayna Baszler is one of the scariest women on the planet. You want to say Ronda Rousey's the baddest? Well, Shayna Baszler is the scariest woman on the planet. She's just terrifying. She looks like a Terminator. It's just, she's something to behold. She is absolutely special. And I love everything that she's become and developed into after I first was exposed to her and didn't appreciate her for what she was. She has grown on me over the year, and now like a terrible wart, I'm stuck with her because I'm big on Shayna Baszler, and this match is one of the reasons why. You look at what they did in this match. Kairi Sane is fantastic. The way she moves her body, her facial expressions, her acting, her selling in the ring, she is fantastic. Absolutely top-notch. But, there's always got to be a but. The controversial ending, which is always great to have, I'm not really in agreement with what happened here. At the end of the matchup, we would see, I think it was Jessamine Duke was getting involved in the matchup, pulling Kairi Sane's hair, getting her attention, and then physically getting involved, jumping the barricade, kicking Kairi Sane in the face, which made her back up into the waiting clutches of Shayna Baszler, who wrapped her up in that submission. I'm forgetting right now what she calls it, but ends up having Kairi Sane just like a boa constrictor, man. Just she's sucking the life right out of her, just squeezing her so tight that her eyes begin to fade, and suddenly Kairi Sane looks as if she's out cold, and she stops struggling, and her hands just laying on the mat, and the referee just calls for the bell, and I'm wondering what happened to the raising the arm thing. Remember that? Remember when the ref used to have to check if you were out cold, and they go with the arm once, the arm twice, and check for one last third time, so that you could maybe, hulk up and have that drama? No, we're just gonna, nope, she's out. That's it, she's out. What happened to wrestling? Isn't that protocol? Isn't that what's supposed to happen? She didn't even raise the arm. She just kind of shook her hand like, wake up, Miss Sane. You're in a wrestling match. Oh, you're sleeping? Oh, it's over. She's sleeping. What the hell was that? Consistency in my wrestling is one of the things I ask for. It's the very least that I expect. But I didn't understand why that happened for the ending of that matchup. I don't agree with the ending. I don't think that Shayna Baszler should have won the title back. Excuse me. I think Shayna should have been moved up to the main roster. With all of the success Ronda Rousey is having, what better way for her to make her mark than to be one of the first and scariest contenders and biggest challenges for Ronda Rousey's championship? I think it would be much more believable, and I think it would be an interesting way to kick off the 4 Horsewoman thing. That being said, Kairi Sane, where do you go with her from here? She's going to have to climb her way back to the NXT Women's Championship. She's going to be now the second woman to be the 2-time NXT Women's Champion. I don't see the appeal in that. Are they going to bring Kairi Sane up before Shayna Baszler? That doesn't seem to make sense. What, are they going to put her with Asuka on SmackDown Live? We all know where that's going to go. Absolutely nowhere fast. She's not going to sail her pirate ship anywhere on the main roster. It's going to sink right to the bottom of the ocean. I was hoping to see my idea, which I pitched to you guys at the end of the preview and prediction show, which was that Shayna Baszler would lose this matchup and then come out at the end of the night and take apart Ronda Rousey after helping her defeat Nikki Bella. If you were going to have Brie Bella involved, you should have had Shayna Baszler come out and help her friend, the 4 Horsewomen. It was something you did earlier in the night. For this particular matchup, for Baszler versus Kairi Sane, you had the 4 Horsewomen get involved. Why were they nowhere to be found while their leader was clearly outnumbered in the biggest moment of her life at this Evolution pay-per-view? Doesn't make sense. Why would you give a shit about one and not the other, right? I really just don't understand it. One more thing I want to talk about is I don't understand how the WWE would dare have the balls to promote the Crown Jewel pay-per-view during this show. This is a show that is against everything that the Evolution show is standing for. This show is about bringing women to the forefront. This show is about elevating female athletes to the forefront, into the spotlight, taking the center stage. And we're going to talk about this other show where women aren't even allowed, I believe, to come on the trip. They're definitely not allowed to wrestle. And if they were, they wouldn't be allowed to dress how they want. Just like they had to do with Alexa Bliss and Sasha Banks earlier in the year. I don't understand it. It's a slap in the face. And it was hysterical to me. I was watching the screen. Michael Cole is talking about the Crown Jewel. The graphic goes up, and the 2 ladies sitting next to him looked like they wanted to smack him in the mouth. Renee Young looked absolutely annoyed that they had to do this, and Beth Phoenix looked like she could you please put me anywhere else right now, because I don't want to be here for this announcement. Very uncomfortable even for me as a fan. I could not believe that they did it. And they absolutely did. They did the social media was buzzing that it received one of the loudest boos of the night when they promoted the Crown Jewel pay-per-view on the Titantron. And I wouldn't blame anybody for doing so. Crown Jewel shouldn't be happening. It shouldn't be taking place. And if it is taking place, it should have been moved somewhere else. That's all I'm going to say about it until we talk about it later on this week. I don't give a shit that it's 5 days away. There was no need for you to promote it tonight when you got Raw tomorrow night and SmackDown and then NXT to follow Wednesday. You could have promoted the shit out of it all week long. You didn't have to mention it tonight. It was unnecessary. Business as usual for the WWE. Oh, we're just going to promote the next show. They don't see anything wrong with it. But that's the problem. They're not thinking. They're not thinking. Was this show really that bad? I would guess it wasn't really that bad. But when you want to take into account what they were trying to do, it wasn't great. It wasn't great. It could have been made much better. It should have been made much bigger. It should have been made important. But the WWE made clear, Dave Meltzer even reported on it, that they just really didn't see Evolution as something important. It was something they were just doing to do. To make the women happy so that they don't make a big fuss and a big stink over everything else they're doing that they can't be involved in. Well, you can't come to the Greatest Royal Rumble and you can't come to the next one, but we'll give you your own show in between. We're not going to put even the slightest effort into it, but you guys, you go out there, you have fun, you do what you got to do. on a more serious note, once again, I don't want to end this thing just raining down on these girls' parade. This was an important moment for women's wrestling in the WWE just because it happened. Okay? It actually did happen. I have a daughter. I was able to sit there tonight and watch with her the first ever all-women's pay-per-view brought to you by my favorite professional wrestling company, even though it don't seem like that at times, the WWE. And yeah, I can understand. But it just didn't feel the way they wanted us to feel about it. And now that it's over, I still feel the same way about it. Was Evolution important? No. Was Evolution special? No. Was it a decent show? Absolutely. Was it good for the women? It's a step. It's a step in the right direction. WWE lost their way a little bit. They're going the wrong direction, but they're still headed in the slightest right way. I know that doesn't make sense. Now that I hear myself say that, they're heading in the wrong direction, but they're going the right direction at the same time. That doesn't make sense. But that's kind of what's happening here, and that's how you could sum up everything we've had to deal with on the road to Evolution. It didn't really make sense. But we can thank God now that it's over, and we can turn our attention to shitting all over the next show, which is going to be Crown Jewel, which we are not going to promote at all. Because, to be honest with you guys, I don't even want to talk about it. I don't want to watch it, but I have to, because it's my job. I don't want to support the WWE in this endeavor in any way. Believe me. But I got to do what I got to do. And if you guys don't want to watch it, you can count on me to bring you guys everything you need to know, because I'm sure the hammer's going to fall a lot harder than it did tonight. Some of you guys probably expected me to really come down on this show, and I apologize if I disappointed you, but we, like I say all the time, tell the truth. And the show was not a disaster, but it's not anything to really be that proud of. We had about 3 fantastic matches, and the rest was the rest. And that's it. That's all I'm going to say about this evening's Evolution pay-per-view brought to us by the WWE live from my backyard right here in New York City. I want to thank you guys for being with me once again. Hopefully you jumped on board and have become one of the hundreds that have subscribed to this channel, because we have the most fun. We are the most honest and most entertaining podcast in all the land that comes complete with the absolute best fan base alive. You guys in my Sledgehammer Club, my Sledgeheads, we unite in the comments section, and you will see for yourself we are among the most educated, and they are the most respectful and coolest wrestling fans around. I look forward to seeing what you guys thought. If you guys watched tonight's show, tell me what you thought your best moment was for the night. If yous are coming to me for it, let me know what part of tonight's review you enjoyed the best. I don't know. Let me know a whole bunch of things. Also, don't forget to check out the subscription box showdown, which went live yesterday. If you guys missed it, make sure you go check it out and place your vote to see who wins this month's Halloween challenge for the unboxing battle of the YouTube universe. One you don't want to miss, because it's the absolute best unboxing show on the planet. That's the subscription box showdown. That'll be linked in the annotations up above. And as always, make sure you check out our Raw and SmackDown reviews, all our coverage of the Mae Young Classic, our NXT UK live commentary shows, which are getting a lot of positive feedback from my friends in the UK, which is all I can ask for, because they can appreciate a Yankees perspective on what they get to see every day. And if I was a British wrestling fan and I lived in England, I would not be as grumpy and disgruntled as I am watching the WWE, because what they got going on over there, you guys never ever believe it. That's going to do it, you guys. That's all we're going to talk about tonight. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is my team for the Sledgehammer, the Wrestling God of Thunder, and the official Sledgehammer of Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. And his tag team partner, the World Heavyweight Champion of all the microphones in all the world, Mr. Blue, the Snowball. We are so glad to be with you each and every time we sit here and fire up this camera for YouTube. Make sure that you like this video, smash that thumbs up, share this video with all of your wrestling buddies all over the wrestling world, especially if they watched Evolution tonight, so that I can hear their point of view as well. And that, my friends, is going to do it. And we are out of here, and we will see you tomorrow night for Monday Night Raw right here on your new favorite wrestling show, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, only on Sledgehammer Hammer TV. God, I can't get that fucking song out of my head. Salute with the breath for the women just salute. Oi. Good night, you guys.